All I gotta say is movie fans like me, we are getting spoiled this summer. So let's run through my top 10 most anticipated summer movies of 2025. All right, let's just go ahead and jump right into the list. So up first at number 10 is going to be Megan 2.0, which comes out June 27th, obviously the sequel to Megan. And after Megan made a boatload of cash, we knew that a sequel was coming pretty much as soon as possible. And Megan, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of one of those Blumhouse entry to horror type movies. So Megan 2.0 takes place 2 years after the events that happened in Megan. So I do like that they're continuing that continuity of the story. We're gonna get some similar characters, actors coming back as well. The same director that directed Megan is gonna be coming back for Megan 2.0 also, which I do like. Makes me kind of hopeful for some of the things in the story, just kind of, continuing that journey of those characters. There are some things about Megan 2.0 though that I am skeptical about. One being I am pretty burnt out on just this whole Blumhouse AI horror movie subgenre, AI gone wrong, AI stuff, killing people, all of that. I mean, we have seen that a million times over the last, especially year or two in particular. But with that said, I did think Megan was pretty decent. I definitely preferred the R-rated or unrated version, whatever you want to call it, that they released on home video, which I'm assuming they're going to do the same kind of business model for Megan 2.0 as well. They're going to release it in theaters, PG-13, try to appeal to the widest audience they possibly can, make the most money they possibly can in the theatrical version. And then in the home video version, they'll have two separate versions, the PG-13 or the unrated version that you can watch as well. So I definitely prefer that. And, when it is released on home video, I'll definitely check out the unrated version as well, which I'm assuming they will do. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Allison Williams. You might recognize her from movies like Get Out or the first Megan movie. So yeah, she's returning, happy about that, to continue her character's story. But in the end, I hope they just give us some fun robot fights. They give us some decent kills in the theatrical release, like that kill when Megan kills the old lady neighbor with a pressure washer on her face. It's a pretty gnarly kill, and like I said, there are some things with Megan 2.0 I'm definitely skeptical about, but I do hope I will be pleasantly surprised, because there is some stuff in Megan, the first movie, that I did enjoy, and hopefully they'll kind of push that envelope, come up with some new ideas to kind of add to this subgenre of horror. Yeah, I hope it's good. So there you go, Megan 2.0, number 10 on my list. Okay, coming up next at number 9 is going to be a movie that might surprise some of you, because I don't think I have really talked about superhero movies really at all on my channel. But at number 9 is going to be Superman, coming out July 11th, and which will be the first Superman movie that I will see in a very long time, honestly. And part of the reason I am hyped about this new movie, not only just because of some of the things I'll talk about in a second, but is because it's gonna be fun to see with my son and just take him to see that whole experience that is Superman. Now, as a kid, I was a huge Superman comic book fan. I remember drawing Superman all the time. My oldest brother had Death of Superman, that comic from the 90s, and I just remember stealing that particular one with the black cover and all of that. Superman's cape blowing in the wind, all tattered and torn up. But I just remember stealing that so many times from him as a kid and reading it over and over and over. There was obviously just something different about that particular comic and that particular story to me. It was darker, it was more brutal. It definitely caught me off guard in a lot of ways, and hopefully with this movie, they do kind of push the envelope a little bit and come up with some new things that maybe will catch all of us off guard a bit. Now, I'll be honest, I have been turned off of superhero movies for a very, very long time. But honestly, I kind of think that more so just has to do with timing. I went and saw some of the bad ones, which kind of put a sour taste in my mouth, which then made me kind of miss out on some of the better ones. So I figured this year I would kind of make more of an effort to give them a second chance. Now, obviously, one of the biggest storylines surrounding the new Superman movie is who is going to play Superman, and it's going to be David Corenswet, who I recognize right away from a movie like Pearl, and I thought he was good in Pearl, not great. So overall, I'm a little bit mixed on seeing him play this character. Obviously, I hope he does a great job, but there's a little skepticism from me there as well. I also think there are moments just from the trailers where, I mean, obviously he looks the part, but in the trailers, he looks great in the suit, and there's a lot of things going on with that I do think look great. But I will say from the trailers, when he's dressed up like Clark Kent, just the makeup design, the look of that character, the haircut of that character, honestly, I feel like it looks horrible. Like, why do you have the same haircut as an alpaca or a 12-year-old boy? What are we doing here? But yeah, we'll see. Obviously, James Gunn directing this movie is going to be a big draw for a lot of people. I'm not the biggest Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I do have a good time with those movies, but like the first movie in particular, I kind of feel like the music carries that actual movie and makes the movie really fun, whereas the story and what the characters are actually doing and just what's happening on the screen, very, very basic to me. Looks great, and like I said, a lot of things that movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, and that franchise does really well, but it, you know, there's nothing in Guardians of the Galaxy that personally blows me away. Now, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think the new Superman movie is gonna blow my mind or anything like that. But the reason why I have it at number 9 on this list is because not only will it be fun to take my son to go and see, but I do think, you know, there'll be some cool visuals, without a doubt. We've seen some of them in the trailer. And yeah, it'll be a fun way to spend a couple hours and devour some popcorn. All right, coming up next at number 8 is going to be the horror movie Bring Her Back, which is coming out May 29th, directed by Danny and Michael Filippo, the YouTubers who also directed one of the most talked about horror movies of the past few years, which was Talk to Me, which is a movie I definitely had a lot of fun with. It's a movie, though, I do think is a little overhyped. I mean, come on, guys. Let's relax a little bit. A lot of people sitting over here talking about this is like the greatest demonic horror movie of the past 20 years or something like that. There's a lot of things in the movie we've seen before. I get it. They used a cool little hand thing in the movie, which is unique, and I get that. That is fun, and a lot of things in that movie are very well done. But the biggest takeaway from Talk to Me for me is just the passion that Danny and Michael have for the genre, have for filmmaking, all of that, which I really, really enjoy and really, really respect, and always makes me want to see directors' next movies when that passion clearly comes across on the screen, which I definitely felt like it did in Talk to Me. So yeah, I do think Bring Her Back should be pretty interesting. I do think the script, I'm very confident, will be pretty well thought out overall. They're going to have some things in here that are definitely going to be tipping their cap to the horror genre just in general because they are big horror fans. But I feel very confident that they've been putting in a lot of work to come up with some new creative ideas to add some new things to the genre, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Now, I've tried to avoid as many spoilers and just plot breakdowns and all that kind of stuff. I've tried to avoid as much information as I possibly can about this movie. I want to go into it as blind as I possibly can, just kind of knowing the basic premise of the movie, who's going to be directing it, obviously, and who's going to be acting in it as well. And all of those things are adding up to be something. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Like I kind of mentioned, this is more so one of those situations where I'm kind of piggybacking off of the directors the most with this concept and my confidence in them, even though they've really only had one theatrical movie. But Talk to Me was pretty damn good. And also, like I already mentioned, just their passion for the genre. I love that. And that always draws me to see somebody's movie when they have that passion, and they've also shown us a track record of doing so. So yeah, Bring Her Back coming in at number 8. Pretty hyped about this movie. Should be a fun time. All right, coming up next at number 7 is not a movie that I think is going to be like this cinematic masterpiece. It's not going to be like an elevated horror movie or anything like that, but it's just a movie that for me personally, I think is going to be a lot of fun, which is going to be Fear Street Prom Queen, coming out on Netflix May 23rd. It's going to be the 4th installment in the Fear Street franchise, which is a franchise that I do enjoy. My favorite movie thus far in the franchise is Fear Street Part 2, 1978, which is just a movie that I think just has some great, really fun summer camp slasher vibes, which I really enjoy. So in this one, it's going to be Shadyside High School preparing for their 1988 prom. So that's going to be kind of fun. You got this big kind of probably culmination of the movie at the dance. Somebody's trying to sabotage all of that. It's going to probably have some great 80s vibes to it, which I know the 80s stuff has kind of been pounded down our throat ever since Stranger Things popped off, but still, I think the Fear Street movie is going to have some fun with that. I'm looking forward to seeing the flashbacks and the flash forwards with the story, with all of that, and just from the limited amount of stuff that I have seen, I do think it's going to have some Prom Night 1980 vibes, a very underrated slasher movie that, if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking out. So I do think it's going to have some inspiration from that in this movie. So looking forward to that. But yeah, Fear Street, I'm a sucker for this franchise, kind of a little bit of a guilty pleasure. Like I said, by no means is this going to be a cinematic masterpiece with the greatest acting, the greatest story, and the most mind-blowing ending in movie history. No, not at all. But do I think I'm going to have fun with this one? Yes, I do. Okay, up next to number 6 might end up being the creepiest theatrical release movie we get this entire year. You know, you just picture those kids running through the neighborhood with their arms out at night. There's just something eerie about that, which is the movie Weapons, which is going to be released August 8th, which is written and directed by Zach Kreger, who also directed Barbarian as well. And this movie has a decent-sized budget for a horror movie. So something to be said about that. I'm kind of interested in how they're going to utilize that. Obviously, a decent chunk of that budget went towards the cast in this movie, which is something that I'm looking forward to seeing how they navigate this entire story. We got Josh Brolin in this movie, Julia Garner in this movie as well, and so many others, just to name a couple. But yeah, I'm really interested. A $40 million horror movie with this type of an idea, this type of a cast, definitely some eeriness with the story. I mean, it's like, especially if you're a parent, I feel like this is going to be a story that has some moments that will resonate with people like us. I mean, it's basically a story about 17 kids in a suburban neighborhood who mysteriously disappear. So yeah, like I mentioned, Weapons might end up being the creepiest theatrical release we get this entire year, just mixing together this cast, this idea. I don't know, there's just something about this movie and the limited amount of information that I've taken in thus far. It looks promising to me. I think we're going to get a little something special here with Weapons. Really looking forward to it. So yeah, it's coming in at number 6 for this summer for me. All right, up next to number 5 is going to be Jurassic World Rebirth, which is coming out July 2nd, which is going to be a standalone sequel to Jurassic World Dominion from 2022. And it's going to take place 5 years after the events in Dominion as well. And one thing promising about this movie, and one of the indications that some of the things I think in this movie will go back to some of those things that we do love about the original movie, which is that this movie is going to be written by David Koepp, who helped write the original 2 movies. So something to be said about that. Really looking forward to seeing what he does with this more modern era of the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park kind of franchise as well. But, you know, to me, I just love this franchise, always have. I was the perfect age when the original came out. I mean, obviously, you know, one of the greatest blockbuster movies ever made, easily one of the greatest Steven Spielberg movies ever made. But I've always loved this franchise, even the corny ones that we've gotten more recently, especially, or just some of the corny ones we've gotten in the past as well. But, you know, there is some fun for me to be had in pretty much all of them. But what I've heard so far is that this movie is going to be a little darker, which I'm really interested in seeing that route, because clearly we've gotten a little bit more kid-friendly, a little bit more young with these movies, which, you know, is fine. I get that angle of it. My kids really enjoy some of the Jurassic Park stuff, the cartoons and all that kind of thing that have been coming out. But for me personally, selfishly, yeah, give us some darkness, give us some kills, give us some horror elements. I'm really, really down for that. And yeah, the cast in this movie, pretty typical for a movie like this, basically like a superhero cast, but they're not wearing capes, essentially, like that kind of a feel to it. But I think it's going to be fun nonetheless with all that mentioned. Also, I mean, this movie is going to be directed by Gareth Edwards, who also directed Rogue One and The Creator. I really enjoyed Rogue One. So yeah, you know, at the very least, this movie is gonna look great. There's gonna be some things that just look cool as hell. But yeah, there you go, Jurassic World Rebirth. Big blockbuster, the summer blockbuster. Gotta have a Jurassic World, Jurassic Park type of a movie in the summer, right? It's gonna be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it. Coming in there at the number 5 spot. All right, coming up next at number 4 is going to be Final Destination Bloodlines, coming out very soon, May 16th. But yeah, I'm just a huge sucker for this franchise. You could say it's a guilty pleasure for me. I love it. Yes, bloody, gory, crazy, over the top, all of that in the franchise. You know, of course, not exactly cinematic masterpieces by any means, but yeah, pretty much the definition of a guilty pleasure horror franchise for me. Just a lot of fun. Hopefully they don't replicate some of the stuff we saw in Final Destination 4, please. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be the last movie that Tony Todd, rest in peace, will ever be in. Great to see him come back to the franchise. Very sad to lose him earlier in this year, but there's a lot of things that I'm really looking forward to. Guy Busick is actually going to be the one writing this one, who also wrote Scream 5 and Scream 6 and Ready or Not and also Abigail as well. And although those movies definitely have their flaws, I think Guy Busick is going to do some things with the Final Destination franchise that are going to be a little bit interesting and kind of unique. I do have some confidence in his ability because those movies I did just mention do have some things that are interesting and are unique to those franchises or just those movies in particular that I had a lot of fun with. So really looking forward to seeing some new, fresh approaches to the Final Destination franchise coming. But yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines, I'll be there day one. You guys know it. Really looking forward to it. Coming in at number 4 for my summer movies this year. Okay, up next as my third most anticipated summer movie of 2025 is going to be Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, coming out May 23rd, also really, really soon. I love this franchise. I've said that before in this list, but yeah, Mission Impossible has always been a franchise that I really love, a franchise I've always enjoyed with my mom, and I've just so many great memories, especially seeing the original movie in theaters. So many great stunts, great music, that main score, of course, iconic, but it's just gonna be one of those movies where I can just grab that bucket of popcorn, you know, a massive ass Diet Coke, put that right there next to me, sit back and just, you know, check my heart rate and it'll be high throughout a big portion of this movie. You know, all the action sequences, the crazy stunts. And with Mission Impossible 2, I mean, Tom Cruise's just dedication to this craft. He's not one of those movie stars where a part of his job kind of feels like he's just doing it for the money. I mean, this guy has way too much money. At this point, he is pretty much doing this because he loves not only the franchise, but his dedication to the craft, his love for movies in general, filmmaking, all of that. And you can see that, just his passion for movies. And that's something that's always been contagious for me. That's something that I look at and I go, okay, when somebody shows that type of passion for movie making, I will go and support them because it comes across on screen. I've mentioned this before, but I mean, you can also argue Tom Cruise is arguably the last big true movie star that maybe we will ever see. And he's still pumping out great stuff, still super dedicated. There is nothing about this movie that I feel like you're going to look back and be like, he kind of, you know, just mailed it in a little bit in this movie. No, there's going to be some stunts. We've already been teased a little bit that is wild, man. Just the amount of stuff that Tom Cruise does that's his own stunt work is crazy, and I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, just sitting back with a bucket of popcorn and a Coke and just flat out having a great time. One of the epitomes of just a summer blockbuster is the Mission Impossible franchise. So yeah, really, really looking forward to it. So yeah, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning coming out May 23rd and coming in number 3 on my most anticipated list for this summer. All right, up next to number 2 is going to be 28 Years Later, which is going to be coming out June 20th. Obviously the sequel to 28 Days Later from 2002, 28 Weeks Later from 2007. And yeah, the zombie subgenre is one of my favorites of all time in the horror genre. Always been a fan. I try to go to see as many, you know, movies in that subgenre I possibly can. I've seen pretty much all of the great ones and I love them to death. And man, this franchise also is incredible. Really looking forward to also seeing what they were able to pull off. A lot of this movie, pretty much the entire thing was shot on an iPhone. Obviously, they had some crazy rigs attached to it as well with some crazy lenses, but keep that in mind as you're watching this movie. But yeah, just so many things I'm looking forward to in this movie in particular. There's going to be so many people coming back from the original production that came back to make this movie, so there's going to be that passion for the franchise, that passion for the subgenre definitely coming across on screen, but just this gritty, unforgiving world. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they've kind of evolved this world over all of these years and how all those set pieces with the skulls and all of that are going to go about. You know, in the trailers, we're seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson lurking around with his bow and arrow and all of that, but just those set pieces, the way the movie looks thus far, looking so damn good. I'm also looking forward to seeing Jack O'Connell once again, it seems like playing somebody pretty creepy, which he did a damn good job playing a vampire in Sinners. So really looking forward to seeing Jack do some more stuff in 28 Years Later. But yeah, very, very excited for this movie. Like I said, one of my favorite subgenres in all of horror. Just one of my favorite just genres of movies in general. If there's anything involving the apocalypse, zombies, all of that, yeah, I will be there day one on June 20th without question. Really looking forward to 28 Years Later. But yeah, coming in the number 2 spot for me. So obviously there's one movie I'm just maybe slightly more hyped for. All right, coming in at number 1 is a movie that, yes, I'll admit, I know by no means will be a cinematic masterpiece. By no means, I don't think this movie will be the best script of the year, the best story of the year, hell, even the best story or script or ideas or twists of just even the summer, probably. But it's just a movie that, for me personally, I will just flat out have an absolute blast with, I think, especially after watching the trailer, which is going to be I Know What You Did Last Summer, coming out July 18th. But yeah, like I already mentioned with Final Destination Bloodlines and my love for that franchise, this franchise as well, I absolutely love. This will be the 4th movie in the franchise. Technically, well, let's just go ahead and say it's the 3rd movie in the franchise. Let's just forget that 3rd movie even exists. But still, those first 2 movies, late 90s slashers that are just pure fun. But yeah, love me my Scream-inspired slasher movies. We got Freddie Prinze Jr. coming back, Jennifer Love Hewitt coming back as well, so love that. And they're also going to usher in a new cast, of course, to maybe have some more sequels if this movie does well. And I think the new cast, I think it looks like a fun cast. They've done some stuff before this movie that's pretty promising as well. And yeah, I think there are a few people in this cast that several years from now, we will look back and say, oh, damn, they were in I Know What You Did Last Summer, because they're like a pretty big star now. So I do think the cast in this movie looks fun. Now, with that said, though, I did think the trailer was really, really fun. But there were a couple moments, and I know this movie is going to be full of cheese across the board, but there were a couple moments that maybe knocked my hype down just a hair for this movie. But with that said, one of them being, I really hope they're able to pull off this kind of East Coast, North Carolina feel to this movie. A lot of the ocean stuff and beach and just coastal stuff was shot in Australia. So if it comes across that it's clearly not the East Coast, a place, down in the Southeast where I have lived for a small portion of my life, I'm very used to that area. If it looks off to me, that won't be great. And also, I know a lot of people with just this concept of this movie. Oh, hey, I know what you did last summer. I still know what you did. It's a concept. It's like, how much can you do with that? There's an event that happened previously. Somebody knows about it and you covered it up. So somebody's out for revenge. I know a lot of people think like there's not that much you can do with that. But hopefully in this movie, they do come up with some new ideas. And it's not just a remake kind of marketed as a reboot, which some of the stuff in the trailer has led me to believe. But I am pretty confident from what we've seen and what I've heard so far that they will have some new, fresh ideas that I think are going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, come on. The Hook is going to be back. The Killer's going to be back in a slicker outfit. I'll be eating that up. Hopefully this movie will have stakes like the original 2 movies have. Hopefully they go that route. But I just think it's going to be a flat out blast. Like I said, is it going to be the greatest movie of the year, sweeping the Oscars? Absolutely not. There is no chance. But when I look for just pure fun, I mean, I go back to some of those late 90s slashers to me, and because of my age, are just an absolute blast. And yeah, I really, really hope the new I Know What You Did Last Summer movie is going to be very similar to those original 2, but also making it modern at the same time. So yeah, really, really hyped about it. So there you go. I Know What You Did Last Summer, coming in at number 1 for this summer for me. But there you go, everybody. Those are my top 10 most anticipated summer movies of 2025. Let me know your list down below in the comments. If you want some more videos from me right now, go ahead and check out one of these videos next to me. If you don't want to miss future videos on the channel, the best way to do that is to make sure you subscribe. Thanks again for watching, everybody. All of my social media links are down below in the description if you want to follow me over there. But my name is Matt, and I will talk to you in the next one.